Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Mari Anne Vanella. She's the founder and CEO of the Vanella Group. Welcome, Mari Anne.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
You've been in business for 13 years and you've seen a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of changes in sales that impact your profession. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's really interesting because when I started this business, the buy cycles and buyer behavior was much different. And some of the trends that we talked about even at the conference here is the transition to mobile and tablets, which impacted how we deliver information. Also the buyer's experience. I know there was noted here that the buyer is 60% plus further along in their research about a provider before they even engage, where before the sales rep was more the keeper of the information. They provided access, right? They were access to references, they were access to technical information, but that's not really the case now. So the sales rep has taken on a different role.
So the key word here is engagement. How has the engagement changed?
Well, it's interesting because the prospect doesn't really need to engage at this point. So the sales rep needs to provide something beyond what the prospect can find on their own. And there's a lot they can find on their own. I know when companies call me now to do some sort of lead generation, or if they're looking for some consulting or whatever it is, they have actually done a lot of research on the Vanella Group. So that is the same for me too. So the thing that's different is a rep needs to help to guide prospects. They need to add value. They need to help them pull everything that they found together. They need to point them in the right direction. Maybe if they have some perceptions about a company, I know a lot of the companies that we work with, maybe at one point they had a very expensive solution and they're perceived as being very expensive. Now they have a SaaS solution that is more applicable to a different market segment. So maybe it's undoing some wrong thinking. So there's a lot of different roles that a sales rep has, and so it requires them to be able to pivot real time and map their discussion to what the prospect wants to talk about so that they can stay engaged.
Mari Anne, you've written this wonderful book, The 42 Rules. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because that book has done so well. It was actually #1 in its category in Amazon for a while, and I still get letters all the time. Just yesterday, this was great. Somebody tweeted about it, and I thanked them. And they said that when they started their business, this book helped them so much.
So there's one thing that intrigues me, how to leave voicemails to engage. I thought that leaving voicemail is not an effective tool.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that, and it's actually a very effective tool because just because somebody doesn't call you back doesn't mean that they're not doing something about your voicemail, right? And in fact, we just did a program. We were doing a market research program for somebody, and based on voicemails, the company downloaded a trial and implemented it in their company, and it was a pretty large opportunity for them. And so people do act on it. Just because they don't call you back doesn't mean that it's not making a difference.
Is it a good idea to combine voicemail with email, that you leave a voicemail and say, I'm sending an email right now?
Yeah, it can be. You know, the main thing about a voicemail is not to drone on and on about your solution or something like that, but this is who we are, this is what we do, we want to talk to you, and then let them off the hook, right? Because there's plenty of research out there that says it's 10, 12 plus attempts to reach somebody, and that is 100% true. So when you leave them a voicemail, you don't want to leave some hostile voicemail, which some people do. I get reps that call me and they go, I've left you 3 messages and you haven't called me back. It's like, I'm busy, right? And so it's how you leave them and being empathetic about it. It's like, I know I left you a voicemail, don't worry about it. I was just trying to catch up with you, right? So there's a way to do it that's a peer level way to do it and not a pest way to do it.
I think that's a wonderful distinction. Can you share with us what do sales reps need to keep in mind for managing relationships in a constructive, positive, and professional way?
Well, that's a great question. And my last blog post is about the last mile of engagement, which has to do with a company spends all this money on maybe marketing automation or campaigns or trade shows or webinars and all these things to get somebody to say, yeah, I want to know more, right? And then it goes to a rep. And while there's consistency in all these other programs, there's not consistencies with the conversations that they have with reps. So it'll be very different depending on the rep. Each rep is different, there's not a process. And one of the things that when we go in and help somebody with this architecture of engagement, first off, write it down. Every time you talk to somebody, write down what happened. I know everybody's got good intentions. It was such a great conversation, you think you'd never forget any of it. But 6 months go by and you do forget it. And so put the systems to work for you. And that's the thing I tell people is don't look at your CRM like an enemy or the company's pulling information from you, but that's a system that helps you be more effective. And then the other thing is to look at the context of how you got that opportunity, right? So, you know, like if you're getting something out of your marketing automation, for example, you can see what their path was to get to you, right? And that tells you what they were interested in. So you should look at that. A lot of people, they just get something, they just call it, they're just winging it, right? And then the conversation falls apart. And that's because they didn't look at the context of how it came. So that takes collaboration both from sales in helping their reps to do that, and then from marketing in helping reps have context, right? Because a lot of times marketing runs programs and then reps just get all this stuff in and they don't know what it is, right? So it really takes a collaborative effort of both.
So what you're saying really in between the lines that salespeople need to get smarter and prepare themselves more diligently. Thank you, Mari Anne. For anybody who would like to get more information, go to
VanellaGroup.com.
Thank you, Mari Anne.